Now, one of the things that Tito was also very proactive in and at the forefront was his love of female singers in terms of incorporating female singers and female voices in a lot of his productions. So he had, of course, Celia Cruz, La Lupe, recorded with La India, Sheila E. Which one is your favorite of the female voices?
Oh, I got to be careful. I loved all of them. Of course, I'm going to always go back to the queen of the Guarachera de la Salsa, Celia Cruz. Reason being, I grew up being around her. She was practically my godmother. Mm-hmm. She didn't have children of her own, so when she saw us, we were like the joys in her eyes. Her and, of course, Don Sir Pedro Knight as well, her husband.
Yes.
They were wonderful people. Celia will always be an inspiration to young, talented female singers today. And Tito Puente, little trivia for you guys, Tito Puente was one of the first Latin and Afro-Cuban band leaders to play Afro-Cuban music, Puerto Rican, that featured females in the front of the orchestra. It was unheard of back in the 1940s and 50s. It was almost like taboo. And Tito Puente, of course, had the great Sophie lead his orchestra as well.
Yes,
and then
correct.
he had the Castro sisters. And he worked with so many different great musicians and singers, La Lupe being one of them, the queen of Latin soul. Legendary, the history of Tito Puente and La Lupe, great albums that they produced for Tico. But Puente was one of the first to bring that female to the front of the orchestra and the timbales as well. So you got, female singers and percussion, and it really changed the dynamic of how you saw a Latin band at that time. At that time, it was mostly male singers. Vintín Valdés, Vicentico Valdés,
sí, claro.
Santito Colón, of course, Machito, Tito Rodriguez. They were all gentlemen at the forefront of that mambo movement. But Puente said, let's bring in some females